Alright, good evening, Earth. This is Adam Sturch broadcasting from the Mushroom Mansion, Taos, New Mexico. Working on oil painting contact. Alright, tonight I'm going to redo the purple on this figure. I'd like him deeper and flatter in order to contrast more with the bright red ants that are going to be around and over the figure. So, I mixed up a little bit of ultramarine and some violet, and then I have some light purple for the highlight edges to sort of blend down into the depth of the darker tone. Here we go.
The rest of the day. And the whole failure looks like it only takes 2 minutes. But of course, it's that little hole that's been there for several years that really destroyed it. You have this fundamentally unsound system built on a foundation of sand instead of bedrock. And it was rotted from the core.
It seems like capitalism is just collapsing on itself. Who got rich here?
Lots of people got rich during this time. Primarily the officers and directors of the large banks and savings and loans and the specialty non-prime lenders. These people became unbelievably rich.
The members of Congress got rich, especially once they left Congress. A number of them go and work in the financial institution.
Sure, and as do Rubin and Summers.
Robert Rubin, a one-time top executive at both Citigroup and Goldman Sachs, championed a change in the law that allowed commercial banks to get into new areas like investment banking and exotic insurance products. This made it legal to let Citicorp merge with Congress Group, a deal valued at $70 billion, creating the world's largest bank. After leaving the Clinton administration, Rubin worked for Citigroup, earning more than $115 million.
Summers made his money back.
Summers made his money as a supposed consultant and in giving speeches at apparently in some cases over $100,000 a pop.
Summers also made $5.2 million at his part-time job, advising a hedge fund.
Where did Geithner go?
Geithner has been a failure at pretty much everything he's done in life. Most of the institutions that destroyed the economy were under his direct regulatory authority.
How did he get the job as president?
By completely screwing up his job as president of the Federal Reserve Bank of New York.
That makes no sense.
Of course it makes perfect sense. This is not new to Washington. People who will give you the wrong answer, but the answer you want, are invaluable. And they often get noted precisely because they're willing to say and do absurd things. And these are the people that promised us that financial deregulation would make all of us rich. And these are the people who were personally made rich.
It was not surprising that the rich wanted to get richer. But now they come up with a new and brazen way to do it. Just back a big truck up to the Department of Treasury and take $700 billion of our tax money. No questions asked.
I got Michael Moore. You know what Michael Moore is on today? The film director. He's filming me right now.
I got my wife on the line. Oh, hi. How you doing? Very well, Indiana. How are you? Shit. Good state.
Yeah.
We're from Michigan.
Yeah.
How did this collapse happen?
I got home on a Friday. Everything was just fine in terms of the economy. I called back after my plane landed in Indiana, and just to check in with my office, and all of a sudden we've got this crisis on our hands, and I'm going to have to vote when I come back Monday for a multi-billion-dollar bailout of the financial industry.
The word that we got was that if we did not act immediately, the economy would collapse. No doubt about it.
I felt that the announcement of this crisis in September, just a few weeks before election, was very suspicious. This is when Congress is the most nervous, and I thought, wait a minute, what's going on here? This is not normal.
The leadership of Congress and the Bush administration quickly held a series of private meetings with the titans of Wall Street to figure out just how much money was needed to cover all the bad bets investors had made. A deal was cut with Treasury Secretary Henry Paulson, the former CEO of Goldman Sachs, whose net worth was estimated at $700 million when he left Goldman to go and run the Treasury Department.
I think we saw the best of the United States of America in the Speaker's office tonight.
The best of America? Or did you mean the best of Goldman Sachs?
The Treasury Department. It's basically an arm of Wall Street. All the people in charge is from Goldman Sachs.
We call it government Goldman in the modern era.
That's because there were now numerous former Goldman executives inside the Bush Treasury Department, as there were under Clinton. They worked as powerful lobbyists from the inside to abolish financial regulations while we paid their salaries.
Treasury Secretary Paulson, he wasn't just randomly at Goldman, he was the guy at Goldman who got them big time into buying these exotic housing derivatives. So he got Goldman in a huge amount of trouble.
Insane housing derivatives had now destroyed much of Goldman's competition, and with the Goldman boys now calling the shots inside the government, they would ensure that Goldman would end up as the kings of Wall Street when the dust settled.
So the last possible people that should be giving advice to Treasury would be Goldman. So naturally Paulson, former CEO of Goldman, puts them on. And what advice do they end up giving? Well, to use the taxpayers to bail out Goldman and other favored financial institutions.
Well, Secretary Paulson has submitted a simple proposal to Congress. This is it. It's 3 pages. It's about $1 billion award. And it is quite simple. Secretary Paulson gets the key to the Treasury. He'll start off by borrowing $700 billion in the name of the American people, maybe more later. And it waives all laws, not even court review. Pretty simple proposal.
We are in a real crisis situation that could mushroom into something worse than the Great Depression.
So I saw fear. One gentleman started, people are telling us that, it's going to be this gigantic calamity. And I'm up for election in 2 months, we're 8 weeks away from election. I don't want to make a mistake. What's the right thing to do?
Heaven help us. If we fail to pass this, I fear the worst is yet to come.
And a few members were even told that there would be martial law in America if we voted no.
They were ramming this thing down our throat. They wanted us to vote on it right away without any kind of thoughtful analysis of
No real hearings.
No real hearings. And I wasn't about that. So, I got cornered into voting for the Iraq resolution based upon some lies that had been made to me, and I wouldn't do that again.
I will not wait on events while dangers gather. I will not stand by as peril draws closer and closer.
We use fear, and then we get down the track. And they created in this window, 2 months before election, this pressure cooker.
People understand that the House of Representatives needs to pass this piece of legislation.
Mr. Speaker, my message to the American people, don't let Congress seal this Wall Street deal. These criminals have so much political power, they can shut down the normal legislative process of the highest lawmaking body in this land. All the committees that should be scanning every word of what is being negotiated are benched, and that means the American people are benched too. We are constitutionally sworn to protect and defend this republic against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
They say it's going to be Y2K all over again. This is the same politics of fear we are hearing from the fat cat financial bullies from Wall Street.
Why are we asking Wall Street to clean up its own mess? Why aren't we helping American families faced with bankruptcy? Why aren't we reducing debts for Main Street instead of Wall Street? Is this the United States Congress or the Board of Directors of Goldman Sachs?
The night before the vote, the American people in unprecedented numbers flooded Capitol Hill with millions of messages demanding that Congress vote no.
The bailout package was defeated today, voted down in the House of Representatives.
The stock market plunged
plunged to the single greatest point loss in the Dow average in one day ever.
The question is this: is the failure of a bailout reason enough to vote all the incumbents out of office in 5 weeks?
12 votes killed him. So did the voices of a lot of the American people who called their representatives and said no. Then Congress voted no. Tonight, Congress has left town.
It was a rebuke that Congress and Wall Street had rarely, if ever, experienced. It was what the Citibank memo had warned against, that if the peasants ever chose to exercise their democratic rights, the pillaging by the wealthy would be over. So Paulson and company headed back up to Capitol Hill, and faster than you can say, "Check please," they cut a backroom deal with the help of the Democrats.
This issue supersedes an election. We need to get this right. We need to do it quickly.
I agree with the Secretary. It's not going to ultimately cost all these hundreds of billions. We will recover most of it, maybe all of it.
The Democrats became the delivery man for a bill for the Republican president. Presidents and presidents-to-be made phone calls. And members, I know at least 2 members who have an interest in the U.S. Senate, and promises were made.
Within days, the Congress did an amazing about-face and gave the banks the $700+ billion they wanted. The people be damned.
On this vote, the yeas are 263, the nays are 171. The motion is adopted.
It was very carefully planned to happen when it did, to involve the players that it did. The message was carefully handled. They had Congress right where they wanted them.
You don't think it was just happenstance?
This was almost like an intelligence operation. That had to be coordinated at the highest levels.
Ms. Ocasio says that there's some forces
That are not democratic.
right that are in control. Big time.
They did a masterful job. Very well executed.
Do you think it's too harsh to call what has happened here a coup d'etat, a financial coup d'etat?
That's no, because I think that's what's happened. A financial coup d'etat,
Yeah.
I could agree with that. I could agree with that because the people here really aren't in charge. Wall Street is in charge.
Where's our money?
I don't know. Citigroup is spending $50 million on a luxury corporate jet.
You don't know, but you're the person, you're in charge of it. They put you in charge to find out.
Goldman Sachs has set aside $6.8 billion for bonuses.
The Treasury followed a don't ask, don't tell policy. They didn't ask the banks what they were going to do with the money. And not having asked them, the banks are not required to tell.
AIG poolside meetings at a Valley resort.
Doesn't make any sense.
We're getting word that 73 people received at least $1 million apiece.
Why would the Department of Treasury not require the banks to tell them what they're doing with our money?
You're going to have to ask Secretary Paulson that question, because I've asked that question in my role as head of the Congressional Oversight Panel. And so far, I haven't gotten an answer. Maybe you'll get a better.
Yeah, this is Michael Moore. I'd like to talk to Mr. Paulson.
I'm sorry, your name again?
Michael Moore.
Michael Moore?
Yeah. Hello? Hello?
This is crazy that they're doing with our money. Yeah, if I could get them to actually give the money back.
I'll be in favor of that.
Fill it up. I got more bags. That 10 million probably won't fit in here. You can't help me get the money. I can't help you get the money. What would happen if I made a run for it right now? So I went to another bank.
We want our money back.
I went to all the banks.
You seen this guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. We're here to make a citizen's arrest, actually.
And just drop it from the window.
And everywhere I went, I got the same reaction.
We're actually here to make a citizen's arrest of the entire board of directors and the executives here. Where's he at? In the white shirt, blue tie? Receding hairline? We're using the money to buy other companies and, this bail, this is our money and this is a police officer. I want to make a citizen's arrest of the CEO, Mr. Blankfein. And, you're here, so maybe you can help me.
Alright, let's do it.
$170 billion of our taxpayer money.
No, not in the building.
Well, yeah, but I'm here to make an arrest. I'll get make it outside. They're upstairs.
I'll make it arrest, yeah.
What? You can arrest somebody? Well, then I can arrest you. Can arrest somebody. I can arrest somebody.
Sorry, leave the building.
Who else do you want to leave the building?
Your cameraman and your...
Oh, all right. They don't speak English. Donde? These guys have broken so many laws. This isn't money. It's theft. It's fraud. I'm going to take it back to the U.S. Treasury, right in this car. It's safe. You can trust me. They're just these little hints that the unimaginable could occur, which is that people in general in the United States could actually become angry at the wealthy. The people who became rich in this country in the last decades were not even making the things that everybody loved. They were playing games that ended up actually harming everybody. So some kind of disease has entered into the economy.
It was unusual for Americans to turn against the rich because of the carrot that had always been held out in front of us, that we too could be one of them someday. People were starting not to believe that. And that frightened the rich. Because off in the distance, they heard something coming. And it wasn't another dry martini. It was the friggin' people.
We are ready to take this country in a fundamentally new direction. That's what's happening in America right now. Change is what's happening in America.
Holy shit. This was not what Wall Street wanted. What if he won? What would happen to their way of life? So they did what they always do. They threw as much money at him as they could. Goldman Sachs became his #1 private contributor with nearly $1 million in contributions. But yet, they still weren't sure what he would do. How did he really feel about them and their way of life?
My attitude is that if the economy is good for folks from the bottom up, it's going to be good for everybody. I think when you spread the wealth around, it's good for everybody.
Senator Obama is running to spread the wealth.
Joe, the plumber said to him, that plan sounded like socialism.
I want to make sure it stays a democracy and not a socialist society.
I really think he's going to bring socialism if he gets active. I don't trust Obama at all.
I left Europe 4 decades ago because of socialism has killed opportunities there.
Someone is going to have to give up a piece of their pie so someone else can have more. I want all my pie.
Barack Obama is a socialist. It's that simple.
The scare campaign wasn't working. In fact, the more they called Obama a socialist, the more he went ahead in the polls. And by using the word so much, they made a new generation curious about what that was. For instance, few of them knew there was actually a socialist in the United States Senate. Of course, he was from the gay state of Vermont.
You say you're a socialist. Tell me what that means. I'm a democratic socialist, which means that the function of government is to represent middle-income and working people rather than just the wealthy and the powerful. You know, one of the things that we have done here, we've become very religious in worshiping greed. And we put on the front pages of magazines guys that made billions of dollars. We ignore the cops, the firemen, the teachers, the nurses, who every day are doing so much in improving the lives of people. We've got to change our value system.
That doesn't sound too bad. I mean, sounds like something maybe we should try. Within a few months, the Rasmussen poll reported that only 37% of young adults now favor capitalism over socialism. Just 2 years earlier, had anyone predicted this moment, they would have been considered crazy. But that's how fast things change. It was, in an instant, a farewell to the old America. The country was electrified by his victory. And suddenly people were inspired to do things they never would have done before. Like the sheriff in Detroit, who decided it was time to break the law in order to help the people.
Doesn't it seem kind of strange to you that they would seek a government bailout? I thought that's not what they do. 101 radio. I thought the free market is just sink or swim. I just saw them sink and cry like babies for assistance from everybody else.
Today, I will be stopping all mortgage foreclosure sales in Wayne County. I cannot in clear conscience allow any more families to lose their homes through foreclosure sales.
What must the banks have thought, seeing the law that was set up to protect their interests being subverted?
I think the free market has failed Detroit.
Well, I mean, I think the free markets fail the country.
All right, I think I'm going to take some sap green, or maybe some other deep green, and hit the interior of that shadow again, and then taper the edges out towards the bright green. So I'm going to start another session, and we'll see if I do anything else other than just the green shading, but that's going to take more than the few minutes that I have left on this clip. So take two, coming up. Take two.
For 22 years, the Troty family of Miami, with the help of their neighbors, took matters into their own hands.
On behalf of this family and this community, we liberate this home for this family. Got the sign now, take it off!
It wasn't
sap
long
green.
before the guy from the bank who had evicted them came back.
See this? I want you to go ahead and take a picture of that. Trespassing. Did we get an eviction here and the people went back and sell the property? Yes, please. So I need police assistance.
When all these houses are empty, the value of everybody else's house go down.
Sure.
So when you can keep these people in this house, that will help not only them, but it helps.
So you see what the situation is that the people, if the bank lets them go back inside, okay, then the bank misses an opportunity to sell a house to somebody else, okay?
And they're looking for how many houses right now?
Well, and then if the bank lets everybody get back and sell a house for free,
Places to live.
People fighting back was an unusual sight, so 9 police cars responded to the call. Considering the neighborhood, the response time was impressive.
I'm not saying I'm in charge. I'm just saying what the guy said. You don't have to answer any question. You don't have to say anything today, okay?
But the Trolleys stood their ground.
We don't have nowhere else to go.
This was the backup. This was our plan B. We don't have no plan C.
And it's not right. She's been in this house for 22 years, and y'all gonna put her out. How do you feel putting me out the house and becomes every single freaking day? You should better be homeless to do something like that.
What is the mortgage? You go there, go
You go yourself. You should be telling you the truth. Do ladies, very rested because all that stuff is going on in the country.
Good, you good?
The police and the man from the bank were sent packing.
Don't leave your home, because you know what? When those companies say they have your mortgage, unless you have a lawyer that can put his finger or her finger on that mortgage, you don't have that mortgage. And you're gonna find they can't find the paper up there on Wall Street. So I say to the American people, you be squatters in your own homes. Don't you leave. In Ohio and Michigan and Indiana and Illinois and all these other places where our people are being treated like chattel. And this Congress is stymied.
Wow. It's not every day you get to see a member of Congress encouraging open rebellion. Back in Chicago, the workers at Republic Windows and Doors had a bright idea. They decided that on second thought, it wasn't okay to be fired without notice, to be denied their vacation and severance pay, and to have their medical benefits cut off. So they came up with a plan to tell Bank of America and the owners of the company that it was a new day in America. They weren't going to leave the building until they were paid what they were owed. Yes, it was a good old-fashioned sit-down strike.
We understand that perhaps some bad business deals were made, but guess what? We don't make business deals. We make windows and doors. Why should we be punished?
The union organizers and the workers prepared for a police assault that was sure to come.
I want to take the chance.
Prepare to be arrested.
I prepare to be arrested if it's necessary.
We've been here since yesterday and we aren't going anywhere. We are
It wasn't long before the media showed up. And given the mood of the country toward the bailout, even the TV anchors had run out of sympathy for the banks.
In Chicago, a group of factory workers watched like the rest of us as taxpayers bailed out the financial industry. Now these laid-off workers are demanding Bank of America spend some of its bailout money on them.
It says Bank Robbers of America.
Look, if we, the taxpayers, are going to provide a bailout for companies like Bank of America, then the least they can do is use those funds on American workers and companies like
$25 million. I mean, I don't know how people sleep at night when they act like that. I don't get it. Because what's the point of bailing them out? They darn good job.
The strike went on day after day. The police had not yet come, but the son of a Chicago steelworker did.
Alright, now I think I'm going to take a little
He just
cerulean
also happened to be
and white and do another mountain range line behind this, where's my camera? Behind this line here, and then extending over back in here, so it'll give you sort of a further distancing in the horizon. There we go.
that which is unfair. I grew up on the far southeast side of Chicago, and I saw what happened when all the steel mills disappeared. And I saw the impact that it had on families. But this time, we are with you, and we will not abandon you. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
When it comes to the situation here in Chicago, with the workers who are asking for the benefits and payments that they have earned, I think they're absolutely right. What's happening to them is reflective of what's happening across this economy.
He said, quote, what's happening to them is reflective of what's happening.
He said what's happening to those workers is reflective of what's happening across this economy.
I was watching Obama's press conference this morning. I just got out of bed. I decided the best thing I could do was food. So I got some food.
In fact, lots of Chicagoans showed up to support the workers.
Workers will become a national symbol for thousands of employees laid off across the
The
country.
sit-in has grabbed the attention of politicians who believe it exemplifies an imbalance between a Wall Street that gets government help and a Main Street that gets the shaft.
The question started to be asked, was this the beginnings of a workers' revolt against Wall Street? Pledges of financial support and food showed up by the truckload.
It's really beyond what we had first initially imagined, and so now we're dreaming a little bit. You know, we even had a conversation, well, what if we just tried to run the factory as a cooperative? We don't have any money, we're not capitalists. We're having those kind of conversations, and the workers are thinking about it, and it's a difficult thing, because, you know, if you've been told your whole life that things are the way other people tell you they are, to be able to think, well, no, I can make it different is quite a big deal.
All over the national news, everyone's watching it because they're so inspired by you. Y yo también me siento muy orgullosa.
After 6 days of the sit-in, Bank of America decided enough was enough. Better to pay off these workers now and hope their little revolution goes away. And so the bank and the company agreed to all the workers' demands.
The average package for each worker will be very close to $6,000. But this is about more than just money. It's about what can be achieved when workers organize and stand up for justice.
Fight, just to get, like, the most basic thing that people should take for granted. And that's, you know, legally theirs. We just fight so hard just for the most basic things in
What you doing, folks?
It's a fight we knew all too well in Flint, Michigan. For it was here that my uncle and his fellow workers first brought down the mighty corporate interests that dominated their lives. It was the day before New Year's Eve in 1936, and hundreds of men and women took over the GM factories in Flint and occupied them for 44 days. They were the first union that
Let's hit this up here.
and their actions
So this
eventually
right.
resulted in the creation of a middle class.
Let's cut some.
But back in these days of the Flint sit-down strike, the police and the company thugs were not going to just stand by. After a bloody battle one evening, the governor of Michigan, with the support of the President of the United States, Franklin Roosevelt, sent in the National Guard. But the guns of the soldiers weren't used on the workers. They were pointed at the police and the hired goons, warning them to leave these workers alone. For Mr. Roosevelt believed that the men inside had a right to a redress of their grievances. 7 years later, President Roosevelt was too sick to go up to the Capitol and give his annual State of the Union address.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
It has been my custom to deliver these annual messages in person.
So he gave it from the White House over the radio. When it was over, he asked the newsreel cameras to step into his room because he wanted the American people to see one particular part of his speech. The President of the United States then took the radical step of proposing a second Bill of Rights to the Constitution.
In our day, certain economic proofs have become accepted as self-evident. A second Bill of Rights, under which a new basis of security and prosperity can be established for all, regardless of state or race or creed. Among these are the right to a useful and remunerated job,
The right to earn enough to provide adequate food and clothing and recreation. The right of every farmer to raise and sell his product at a return which will give him and his family a decent living. The right of every businessman, large and small, to trade in an atmosphere of freedom, freedom from unfair competition and domination by monopolies at home or abroad. The right of every family to a decent home. The right to adequate medical care and the opportunity to achieve and enjoy good health. The
All
right
right.
to adequate protection from the economic fears of old age, sickness, accident.
So cool. That sets up a nice surface to start adding in the ants soon. I may do more detail to the figure on the left, the central figure. Her dress would be nice to deepen with some Prussian. Maybe I'll do that now. How much we got on this clip? 16 minutes. Alright, you know, it's already getting kind of late, so I think I'm just going to cut that here for now, and we'll pick this one up soon. Thank you for watching. That's Adam Sturch broadcasting from the Mushroom Mansion, Taos, New Mexico, working on oil painting contact. Have a good night, Earth.
He would not live to see the end of the war, nor would there be any enactment of his new Bill of Rights.
Adwan says good night, too.